We have a very interesting concept in number theory, that is Euler's Phi function, which is about the relatively prime numbers. This says if n belongs to positive integer, then the number of positive integers which are less than n and relatively prime to n are expressed by Euler's Phi function. And if there is a number n belongs to positive integer, then the number of positive integers which are less than n and also relatively prime to n are expressed by Euler's Phi function, and it is denoted by phi of n is equals to number of primes, means number of relatively primes, to n. For example, we have if n is equals to 9, then phi of 9 will be 6 because when if n is equals to 9, then relatively primes to n and less than 9 means that they are less than 9 and relatively prime. Which are the relatively prime to 9? One is relatively prime, and 2 is also prime, and 3 is not, because GCD of 3 and 9 is not equals to 1. So 3 is not relatively prime to 9, but 4 is relatively prime to 9, and also 5 is relatively prime, and 6 is also not relatively prime, because GCD of 6 and 9 is not equals to 1. But 7 is relatively prime, and 8 is also prime. Okay, so if we have the numbers relatively prime to 9, so number of relatively prime to 9 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Therefore we write here 6. And also a second example, for n is equals to 6, we have phi of 6 is equals to 2, because when n is equals to 9 and 6, the number of relatively primes, 1 is relatively prime to 6, but 2 is not relatively prime to 6, because GCD of 2 and 6 is equals to 2, so it is not equals to 1. So this is 2 is not relatively prime to 6, and 3 is also not relatively prime, and 4 is also not relatively prime to 6, but 5 is relatively prime to 6. So we have 1 and 2, only two number which are relatively prime to 6. and also and also for n is equals to any let's say 11, or any prime. Let me take a prime, let's say 17. When n is equals to 17, because 17 is a prime, and every number less than 17 are relatively prime to 17, because 17 is a prime. So we can directly write this, phi of 17 is equals to 16, because we have 1 is relatively prime to 17, and 2 is also 3, 4, so on so on, and 16 is also relatively prime to 17. There are 1 2 3 4 5 6 dot, 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 means that we have 16 relatively prime numbers to 17. For primes, phi of n is equals to always n minus 1, because here 17 is n and n minus 1 is equals to 16, and that's why, and this is universal for prime numbers. I hope guys you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to hit the like button, and if you want to more from our channel, you can directly subscribe our channel. And thank you for watching guys.